Welcome back. Thank you for joining Tim, Jonathan, and myself. And
Hello.
let's see what's going on. So, Tim, you had a bit of a revelation on WhatsApp.
Um, Not sure how I've not noticed that before about the ships, but I just always like every time I look at that page, I've always just kind of, I suppose I've just imagined like an arrow between the frigate and the destroyer.
You thought just you had to
Thing.
do destroyers after corvettes and frigates, but in a
Yeah.
way, we can update you on this city. So Norway have cracked into the Ukraine, it seems, but their city's gone up to 31% morale. It was 25% yesterday, so they're not at war with very many people at all. Doesn't look like anything else has changed. It may be that he already had that city and Ukraine just snugged up to him, so we'll have to see. I've got a really, really nasty plan for Ukraine in a couple of 3 days, so we'll see when that comes to fruition. And my nearer term goals are to crack into Greece and Greater Serbia very soon. In fact, Greece tonight. I've got 3 destroyers that I'm pulling together into a pile, and I'm going to go in because I know they've got a plane in there. I was thinking about waiting for a frigate, which I'll start building in about 4 hours 14 minutes for my first frigate. But I thought, no, I'll just go for it. How are you guys getting on, and what's your plans?
Um, yeah, I'm getting on all right. I've finished off the last of Iran's provinces and Oman's provinces as well. In the last day or so. I've been sending a lot of troops back to Ankara just to heal for a day or so. I've sort of sent the rest of my healthy troops to what was Iran, ready to push through the Middle East. The Middle East, sort of Afghanistan, Pakistan, all that area just looks a little bit of a mess at the moment. Like they've all sort of torn each other apart. So
Cool,
I
yeah.
think I'll be able to sort of just march through there fairly unchallenged.
Yeah, no one really looks that active in there, do they?
Uh,
Apart from maybe the Uyghurs past them, but maybe no, not even that.
they've
These
got a
guys
lot of
down
land,
here,
but not cities.
Myanmar, look like they've done something. But oh, look, I've just built a tank destroyer. Fantastic. I've got quite a few things to update people on actually, so we'll do that throughout the episode. But I've got an anti-air built and on its way to Istanbul, and I've got the tank destroyer now made. So I've got a tank destroyer, 2 armoured fighting vehicles, a combat recon, and a motorised, and then an anti-air. So that's quite a powerful stack now. I'm just resting up my infantry officer, and then these 2 cities, I've got 2 infantry, 2 combat recon. Once they're going to have to sit on that city for a couple of days, and I've ended the war with Transcaucasia. These guys can move after midnight tonight, 2 infantry, so they're going to go over to the war with Greece. And down here in Yemen, South Yemen, after tonight, these troops can move up to the war with Greece and Greater Serbia. So I'll have an armoured fighting vehicle and 3 motorised infantry in total, but it'll take a while for them to move. So my front is shifting toward Greece and Greater Serbia, and then when I've finished those off, I'm probably going to crack into... I'm really tempted to crack into the Ukraine, but we'll have to talk about that one. Because once I crack into Ukraine, it's just going to kick off a whole can of worms. Ooh, morale is good. Now we've ended all our wars. Was looking quite bad at one point for me. At war with 2 nations, -4. So that was all the way up to 7 at one point, 7
Jeez.
nations.
God. Should have Ethiopia done as well soon. They've just got those three
Yeah, they're
provinces.
nearly dead. I've attacked them about 10 times so far. Eventually grouping together my 2 strikes. They really did a number on the troop I sent in. You can see he's down to 1.5 health. So I'll just tidy it up after tonight. I've got to sit on my cities, one more day and a lot of this will stop being on fire. And then I can kind of move on with my life.
I'll tell you what, if you want to get those, if you want to sort of send those troops there, to the hospital, I could send over a recon to sit there. I need a...
Yeah, you've got a
Which
few
troops?
wounded there, Jonathan, haven't you?
Yeah, quite a few. Especially my officer, who's been an absolute trooper. It says he's only got one kill actually himself, but he's buffed so many other troops. I think I was looking at just the 2 combat recon in this stack. Wow, crikey, look at that. They've got 15 kills between them. My officer's currently south of Abraminch, which is south of the Bahirdar complex. And look what's just shown up
Yeah,
on my screen.
I know, that's not good news, is
Sorry.
it? What are you going to do about that?
I
2
think I'll back
combat
up and
recon.
regroup.
2 infantry.
It's not that much actually. 4 units. One of those combat recons is very nearly dead.
You got your strikes, haven't you? So actually, front page headlines. Jonathan's got strike fighters. Oh yeah. Once they get below half health, you lose 1, don't you? So 1 hit with your strikes, and you might take out a combat recon.
Yeah. At that point, you'd probably be strong enough to sort of just take it head on, maybe sit in the province. That one sort of in the middle, Kygo. Just wait for him there, maybe.
I'd rather pick mountains for the attack debuff.
Yeah.
If I can bait them to
by.
Aod, then I can get one of these units down and sit there as well. And if I was to just sit there with 4 units, or maybe even 3, to be fair, I could probably just trade off with them. I'm not sure whether I should back up my officer to take him on as well, or just keep pushing.
The officer's got a bit of health left, hasn't he?
Very wounded. He's at about 26% health.
Yeah, 11.7, but he's
number.
upgraded.
Mm.
You could probably...
Yeah, and I might upgrade him again, to be fair.
Oh, I've just started upgrading mine. What do you think of this? I've started to research multiple rocket launcher. So that'll be nice.
It's the path I'll go down eventually. Actually, that's going to be the next thing I'm going to research. So my army bases are a bit behind. You do need a level 4 army base to build that. How close are you to having that infrastructure?
Got a level 3. Yeah, got a level 3. I'm not desperate to build them straight away, just getting through the research, I think. I'm researching the next level of infantry officer, so that'll be nice. And then I'll have to have a think about what I go for. Maybe strike fighters, or for the good old cruiser. But like you say, there's infrastructure upgrades for some of these now. Need a level 4 army naval base. Really struggling for components, as you called very early on, Jonathan. But then I'm building an awful lot. I've got another mobile SAM launcher on the go. I'm doing a couple of troops actually, and very nicely, I'm just building more and more bunkers. I'm making sure that I build bunkers now on all of my component cities, just so as the morale rises after the bunkers are built, I'll get more resources, and then you can start building the arms industries on them. But yeah, still a ways to go. Arms industry level 3 on all my home cities, bunkers on all the home cities. And was I going to do something for Ankara? I can't quite think. Oh yeah, I want to put some anti-air on Ankara just to protect the wounded. That would be nice. I've got a destroyer sitting on Istanbul just to protect it a bit once this stack goes on a walkabout. But I've taken your advice, Jonathan, about building a few more troops and maybe not neglecting them too much.
Okay, yeah, that's great news. You've got a really good variety there, but I think just having like a minimum level of your troops is important. Like they don't need to be your main fighting force, but they'll always come in handy.
Yeah, they just need to sit on cities really, two at a time. And if I take over a country quite quickly, it'll stack up because you need 2 troops per city for 2 days for the morale to build up before you can leave it. And
It's really interesting what's happened down here in East African Federation. We've kind of been sporadically covering it, but Cameroon, uh, we saw he pushed into New Mombasa, and he's just been going from city to city, uh, taking it successfully, and then he's had each one taken back from him. So he's moved to Arusha, and then Mabea, and then to Mtwara. And I just have no idea how he's managed to take all of the cities and lose all of them. I'm rather perplexed. But once I've dealt with this stack, it might be enough to just push through and take the rest of East Africa.
Yeah, and we've got to be a bit careful of Mozambique. They're expanding. They're really pushing south, aren't they, and growing, and we know they've got strike fighters. So we'll have to be careful.
They've got these 2 cities on their southern peninsula, so if they're expanding south, then they need to quickly retreat a lot of their troops back to this city, and that would be possible if they just had a airbase that they could fly from, which they do in Harare. So maybe he's already got that one worked out. He did seem to be quite a competent player. We know he's got strike fighters, so I don't really know what the plan is if I sit right next to him and wait for him to counterattack.
I think you just want to make sure you've got a pretty big, strong stack as well. I guess just go for his capital. You're on the same peninsula, aren't you?
Yeah.
And then
but we're not currently at war, so the agency's on my side, and he is a long way away from my home cities, and we're heavily defended now. So I could retreat on my troops.
And leave him to it and go for the easier targets. Yeah, who knows? I mean, the player knew when to withdraw from you and made peace with all of us, so knew that Ethiopia were a lost cause ultimately.
Yeah, and that was when he had the upper hand, so he had the foresight to realise that even though I was on the run, I was still going to win that battle.
Yeah, he probably did a little bit of research into the coalition. Then I think I had a strike. No, that's it. I had an air superiority that I was sending into the fight, and once they realised that they're against more than one player and that Ethiopia were probably a bit rubbish and totally getting their behind handed to them, yeah, probably thought, right, I'm out of there. Probably realised that both Ethiopia and the East African Federation weren't necessarily bad players, but they were getting whooped by a superior one.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's you, Jonathan.
And you helped out.
Yeah, well, I might have been just referring to myself and being kind to you.
Oh, right, I see how it is. But these 3 troops left from Ethiopia, we did deduce that they were sitting on his capital, and they moved away to take Djibouti, but they weren't quick enough, and he left his capital exposed and his supply city.
I'll explain on my screen actually, because that might be easier. So Ethiopia, had a little stack on their capital, didn't they? When you were nearly attacking it, but had to run away because actually Mozambique had a big stack on there. So that when they saw me sort of landing in Djibouti, I guess they sent their troops over to try and defend it. Left the capital completely empty for you to roll in. Didn't get to Djibouti in time and had like 3 infantry sitting right here, and I'm showing them that tile, Jonathan. So yeah, interesting.
So having mountainous regions is great for defending because it gives you time to react when somebody comes in. But you've got to stick to your guns if you're on a city, and you've got to stay on there because you might not have enough time to react. And ultimately, like, you don't want to be leaving your cities undefended, especially overnight.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, he was being attacked on 2 fronts and he had no troops left, and his ally abandoned him.
He was screwed either way.
He was, didn't stand a chance. Tim, I've got to comment on your stack of troops in the hospital. 11 infantry, level 3, and 3 combat recon. Very, very nice tactics. They'll be fully healed up very quickly, much quicker than if you just sent a few really injured ones there. So
that's what I figured. There were a couple that were like really low. Just sort of mix them in with a couple of healthy ones, and
amortize your stack and get everyone back up to goodness quick. Really nice way to recycle your troops and keep them in the action. So I've got a level 3 hospital there. I'm going to pause for a moment with that because I think that's probably okay for this phase of the game. There it is. We've got +3 healing per day, and then I'll do an upgrade once I've done a bit more infrastructure my end. Probably in a couple of 3 days I'll do another hospital upgrade and just keep working on it until we're level 5, and then we get like +6 healing per day, which is insane, but an enormous help. In the previous series, you can go to the channel and check it out. That's what we did. Jonathan had a level 5 hospital, and we just kept sending all our troops there, and they healed quickly, and we were able to cycle them through and gain back new stacks that were really super helpful.
Yeah, it's great. You can sort of use, like, say, a stack of strike fighters to deal with stuff during the day, leave them for night, and then they were just ready to go again the next day.
Yeah, not worried too much about wiping things out, but really hitting their health low and then sending them off. A good airbase infrastructure to get the troops back to the hospital and then back to the front line again. So what's your take on Europe, do you think? Once we start cracking into Europe, that's where progress will halt, and we'll have a hell of a battle on our hands.
Yeah, Poland is definitely taking the game seriously. He's got high level arms industries.
Yeah, Poland's their most
decent infrastructure.
Dangerous player, isn't he?
Yeah. Go on, sorry.
He's taken quite a lot of new cities. He's got, looks like he's taken the equivalent of an extra couple of countries worth of cities, but I have seen that new Yugoslavia are a little bit active, and there's a little bit of a fight going on in that area between new Yugoslavia, who are in turquoise, Ukraine, who are cracking into them, and Poland. They're ultimately going to lose, but they're staying away from Greater Serbia, and I definitely want their land, because it's a lot of mountains in between me and them that I can claim. Italy seem to have done absolutely nothing, and France are still really not doing a lot at all. I think they're not a very active player and are more serving as a bit of a holding peg, really, for their western flank, which I'm sure is going to come in useful. A little bit disappointed Norway haven't done a bit more. So it looks like everyone's kind of stood still now and are working out their
Mexican
next move.
standoff.
I think they're building their armies now for the next move. And
it always concerns me when somebody just stops expanding for a while, and they're out of combat, because they're going to be fully prepared for whatever comes next.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're not going to be a walkover at all. Ukraine's building army base level 3. There's only one reason you'd do that. And that's for some... I mean, they could be going heavy tank, main battle tank. They could be going...
It's level 2, doesn't it?
Is that just level 2?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I presumed it was 3.
Starts, yeah.
Maybe they're going for support, so it could be SAM launcher. That would be quite likely. That's level 3. Or what does radar need? Level 2.
Oh, level 2, yeah. So it's one thing we rarely come across is anti-air. In a lot of games we focused on strikes. And then, if those 2 conditions are met, then you have a very easy time. But we will need an alternative tactic. We can't just help people with... I
suppose it's just like the launches, isn't it? If you can't hit them by air, then you just hit them from range on the ground.
And the airborne don't take a lot of damage from SAM turrets, so that they can get in there very quickly. And kind of circumvent it. So that could come into play, but mainly the launch.
If they've got a SAM turret behind a big stack or something on its own vulnerable, that could be a very nice option.
Yeah, take out the SAM turret, then send in your strikes. We need to kind of suss out how they're composing their armies first. But like you just said, the top players tend to have their anti-air separate to the main stack. So then you can just pump all of your tanks, mechanized, whatever you've got into there, without sacrificing a slot to a troop which won't fight in close quarters.
Yeah, and that's why I'm building this big stack of tanks, because it could be that I don't have any troops at all, or maybe 1 troop to land grab, and then just a big old stack of tanks and a tank commander. And then if I do need to take land, well, you guys will have your airborne to land grab, but I also might have a separate stack of troops following on behind if I need them. I don't know. That's kind of the way I'm going. I want to have, say for example, like they've got a stack of, I don't know, like 6 troops and 2 tanks and whatever else. Well, if I've got a big old stack of tanks, that's going to knock them out of the water. So I've got 8 attack with my fighting vehicles for now, and 11 attack with the tank destroyer, and they're just not upgraded, so they're very strong attacks. And then I've got my ships, and I've got anti-air. So
one thing I'd be interested to see is like an overall view of the armies. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but if you're to zoom out and then like right click and drag an area over all of the lands you own, then it highlights every single unit, and then you can see exactly what you've got, and more importantly, what health each unit type is on. I'm kind of doing that to see what I need to send to your hospital, and I definitely need to send my combat recons there. But yeah, I can see I've got a couple of airborne, a couple of corvettes and strikes, infantry officer, 3 combat recons, but the main thing I've been focusing on is just basic infantry. I've got 18 of those at the minute.
So I think you might be able to highlight everything like you've said. So I've just been playing around with it while we've been talking, and I'm going to have a go now. So there we go. I've highlighted my entire army. It's showing me that I've got... Oh, that's interesting. I've got 10 motorised infantry. I didn't realise I had that many. I've got 3 combat recon. I've got 3 armoured fighting vehicles and a tank destroyer. I've got 1 air superiority fighter, 4 destroyers, 1 SAM launcher, and an infantry officer.
Oh, a good mix.
Do you want to know how to do it? Is that what you're after?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just interesting to see what you've got.
Full zoom out. And then right click. Right click and hold. And then you draw a perimeter around all of your troops. So right click and hold, and then draw a big circle all the way around your troops, and it picks them all up. Got it?
You still there, Tim?
Yeah. I'm just doing.
But it kind of amortizes them all together. So if it shows you've got a stack of 11, it shows you the average health of each, not necessarily the actual. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. I've got.
So that's a very nice overview to see.
Yeah, it is. It's missed out my airborne that are currently flying to a location, but
Okay.
it's got all the ground troops. Got 8 recons, 21 infantry, 4 airborne, and the 2 officers, 2 corvettes.
That's pretty good.
You done it, Jonathan?
Yeah, and then all of my motorized, they're at half health in total, 8.5 out of 17. So
Cool.
yeah, there really is a need for me to heal up.
Well, it gives you an idea of the overall health of your army, doesn't it? Even if you can't actually see that, well, one's got 1 health and the other one's got full health, but on average they're at half.
Yeah, and you can't always trust the little bars, because even though I'm on half health, if you look at the blue bar, it's at about 70% of the way up.
Oh.
And I would guess that is like if you're going into battle and you see your bar go down too much, you're more likely to back out of it. So maybe it's just to keep you in there for a bit longer. But I don't think that health bar is an accurate representation of the health your unit's actually on.
I think I'll just... There's something else that's vaguely interesting as well that you can do. Like when you've highlighted them all, you can click on I don't know, like a stack of 10. So my 10 infantry between them have destroyed 11 enemies, which is cool.
Very nice.
And it says that my infantry officer has destroyed 14, but he would have been in probably with a stack of the troops. My SAM launchers killed no one, which is right. And then my tanks have killed 2. So you can get a bit of a... You can click through all your different stacks. There's only 8, and you can add up your entire kill for your army, which is cool.
It's pretty good. Yeah, apparently my motorized have got no kills. It's been the combat recons that have been doing the heavy lifting. But generally going into battle, I've been leading with one of those. So clearly they're getting the final hit on any army I come across.
Yeah, or maybe they claim the kill if they start the fight. Who knows?
Who knows?
You learn something.
Leading the charge would make sense.
Learn something new every day. Nice little tool. I remember we kind of found how to highlight stuff en masse. So just in this section, you just sort of... Well, they're not my troops, but you just sort of right-click, draw a circle, anything in there you've selected, and then you can move together. Select your move order and go. Way of moving your army en masse so you don't move. Well, it just saves time, really, so you don't miss people as well. So used to just individually clicking on stacks all the way through, so you've got the time. You got the... Is it the Suez Canal locked off, Jonathan?
Yep, just with 1 corvette for the minute. But that'll stop any cheeky invasions of single troops. What have we got over here? Tim, you've got a corvette too. And if I do get in any naval battles, then it'll be action stations, and we can send over all of our boats. You've got your destroyer on standby. You've got 3 destroyers, to be fair.
4.
There we go.
4 destroyers.
So, yeah.
And I'm building a frigate.
So if anyone wants to come at us, then they're going to have to come at us with boats and troops.
Yeah. It's a bit annoying, actually. I'm short of components, and I've bought all the components in the shop. I've put a buy order for 500 at 6.3, but yeah, I think once the shop sells out, that's probably pretty much it. But that's fine. I've got some good production. Don't think I've got anything else queued, have I?
But we're really starting to see how the market struggles. There's absolutely no supply and all demand, and it will stay like this for most of the rest of the game.
Yeah.
With the exception of, I think I've still got some of my starting offers up on fuel and electronics, but apart from that, no rares, no components, no supplies.
Yeah, it's a bit sad how the market shuts down. It could do a bit of improvement. I'm starting a tank destroyer in a few minutes. In 11 minutes, I'll start building a new tank destroyer. So that's interesting. Yeah, come in handy. And then in about 9 hours, I start my frigate. Kind of wish I had it a bit sooner than that, but that's fine. Just wondering if I need that tank destroyer. Could probably come in useful. So when it hits midnight, I'm going to be moving all my troops back to the homeland to start the invasion north, so I'll have an extra armoured fighting vehicle. It's a little low on health, but that'll amortise out. Its health has grown quite well, actually.
I've fulfilled that components
Oh, have you?
order. I've got quite a few spare.
Oh,
I will
thanks,
need
Tim.
them soon, but yeah, just haven't used many.
Great, no, I appreciate that. It'll help me build a frigate a bit sooner, but I'm just trying to buy any and every component I've got and just try and mainly with it's going to pay off building arms industries level 4s on mine. There we go, tank destroy started. Very nice. Thing is, arms industries take quite a lot of resources, especially once they get to a high level. They take ages. Okay, well, looking good. Well, Tim, you've got a big old army that's nicely leveled up. I can really see the value in that of having high level infantry and combat recons to just bounce through and cycle through back and forth to the hospital, rinse and repeat. And Jonathan, it looks like you're kind of in that first wave zone where you've taken your first big batch of cities and now your soldiers are just a bit trapped and sort of stuck sitting on them.
After tonight, a lot's going to be freed up. I've just started building an airbase on that dome city in the middle of Ethiopia, and I'm going to fly them all back. A couple of days, they'll be healed up fine, and I'll keep pushing on. But I'm catching you two up. 22 cities, you're both sitting on 23.
What?
And I've still got my victory site, which
oh, good move.
ahead on the victory points.
Oh, I had no idea. Oh, you
and
have.
I'm only at war with 2 countries apart from the Chosen, and Ethiopia is going to be cleaned up very soon because I'm sending over an airborne.
That's great. I've just seen
the land.
Brazil are top, aren't they? And then it's us 3. That's a remarkable comeback, Jonathan. It really is. Yeah, look, Brazil are expanding big time, and I think they're going to be a bit better than the Brazil in our previous. Although
the infamous Brazil.
Ooh.
Let's see if we can have a proper fight with them this time, eh?
It's just got arms industries level 1 and 2. It doesn't look like an amazing player. They've got a victory site. And they've got a combat outpost and an airfield on their victory site. And they've got the rares coming in an increased volume. We'll see what Brazil has to offer. There's always something going on with Brazil, isn't there? Looks like Canada's
all about these victory sites.
Yeah. And actually, if you compare our expansion and the number of cities we have, which just directly relates to resources that we're having incoming, Poland have got 18. All of us have now got 22 or more. Poland 18, that's their strongest player. Ukraine 17, and then France is nowhere. They've got 7. Yeah, you can tell they're totally inactive. It's just their starting cities. And then Norway have 18. But they've totally come to a halt. Norway has, and then Ireland have 11. So we're definitely outstripping them resource-wise, which is only going to help. So far so good. But wow, Brazil are steamrolling ahead. we'll have to see if they're in coalition with anyone, because they could be a huge danger once they have South America locked off. And then North America, we've got Canada doing quite well. So if Brazil and Canada are in coalition, we're in trouble. And lots of work still to do, guys.
Absolutely.
Any last thoughts on this episode?
I don't think so.
Neither.
Well, in that case, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Over and out.